Have you ever felt like tech has its own secret language? Gigabytes, megabits, terabytes. It can feel like a total mess. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify all of it. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll be speaking the language of data like a pro. So let's kick things off by solving a really common and, let's be honest, super frustrating mystery. You're paying for that zippy 100 megabit per second internet, but when you go to download a file, the speed your computer shows is a lot smaller. So what's the deal? Are you being ripped off? Nope, and I promise you're about to understand exactly why. To get that answer, we've got to start small, and I mean atomically small. Before we can even talk about big things like gigabytes, we need to meet the single fundamental building block of literally everything you do online. And here it is. This is the bit. It is the absolute smallest piece of information in the entire digital world. It can only be one of two things, a 0 or a 1. Think of it as off or on. That is it. Everything, and I mean everything, your computer does is just built from billions and billions of these simple little things. Here's a great way to think about it. A bit is like a single light switch on a wall. It can be on or it can be off. It tells you something, but not a whole lot, right? To say anything really meaningful, you're going to need a whole bank of switches. See, computers don't really bother looking at just one bit at a time. It's just not that useful. Instead, they group them together into a much more helpful package. And that package is called a byte. This is really the first practical building block of information. And right here, this is the first number you absolutely have to remember, 8. It takes exactly 8 of those tiny little bits to make up one single byte. This 8-to-1 relationship is the absolute key to solving our internet speed mystery later on. So lock it in, 8 bits equals 1 byte. So what can you actually do with a byte? Well, that little group of 8 bits has just enough information capacity to represent one single character of text. The letter A you see on your screen? Yep, that takes 1 byte to store. A single question mark? 1 byte. Every single letter in that text message you just sent is made up of one of these. Okay, so we've got our basic building block, the byte. But let's face it, we live in a world of massive files. Movies, games, you name it. So how in the world do we get from a single letter to the billions of bytes we use every single day? Well, we're going to climb a ladder. Now, to climb that ladder, we need our second magic number, 1024. You might be thinking, wait, why not a nice round 1000? Good question. It's because computers think in binary, in powers of 2, and it just so happens that 2 to the power of 10 is 1024. That is the computer's true version of 1000, and it's the multiplier for every single step up. It's also, by the way, why your new 1 terabyte hard drive only shows up as about 931 gigabytes on your computer. The marketing folks use 1000, but your computer does the real math with 1024. And here is that ladder. Look, we start down at the bottom with a byte. That's our single letter. We climb up the first rung by multiplying by 1024, and we get a kilobyte, enough for a short email. Multiply by 1024 again, and now you're at a megabyte, which is about what you'd need for one high-quality photo. Then comes the gigabyte, which can hold a whole movie. And at the top, for most of us, the terabyte. That's your entire hard drive, holding hundreds of movies. Every step is 1024 times bigger than the one before it. So, we know all the rungs on the ladder. But what happens when you need to jump between them? Let's go over the super simple rules for converting between these units. This is how you make sense of any file size you see. Seriously, it is this simple. If you are going down the ladder, from a big unit like gigabytes to a smaller one like megabytes, the number itself is going to get bigger, so you multiply. And if you are going up the ladder from a small unit to a big one, the number gets smaller, so you divide. That's it. Down is multiply, up is divide. Okay, pop quiz time. Don't worry, you've got this. Let's say you have a movie file that's 4 gigabytes. How many megabytes would that be? Just think about the ladder. Are we going up or down? Well, gigabytes are bigger than megabytes, so we're going down one step. And since we're going down the ladder, what do? We multiply. So 4 gigabytes times our magic number, 1024, gives us 4,096 megabytes. See? Easy. You just did your first data conversion. All right, you have totally mastered the ladder. Now it's time for the final piece of the puzzle. We're about to tackle the one thing that causes pretty much all the confusion out there, and we're finally going to answer that big question from the beginning of our explainer.
Believe it or not, almost all of this confusion boils down to one little thing, a capital letter. Pay attention here. A lowercase b stands for bit, and uppercase b stands for byte. Now, for historical reasons, internet providers sell and measure their speeds in megabits per second. That's Mbps, with a little b. But your computer, your phone, everything, it measures file sizes and storage in megabytes, MB, with a big B. They are not the same thing.
So, let's ask our original question one more time. But now you have all the tools to solve it. Your internet plan is advertised as 100 megabits per second. Using everything we just learned, how do you figure out how many megabytes your computer is actually downloading every second? And here it is, the big reveal. You take your internet speed in megabits, that's 100, and to turn bits into bytes, you divide by our first magic number, which was 8. 100 divided by 8 is 12.5. So, a 100 megabit per second connection has a maximum theoretical download speed of 12.5 megabytes per second. That's it. That's why the numbers never seem to match up. You were just looking at two totally different units of measurement all along. So if you forget everything else, just please try to remember these two numbers. There are 8 bits in a byte. That's for converting internet speed. And for every step you take up that data ladder, from kilo to mega to giga, the magic multiplier is 1024. That's it. That is the secret code to understanding digital data. And just like that, you're fluent. You can now speak the language of data, all the way from the tiniest little bit to the massive terabyte drives we all use today. But you know, that ladder, it just keeps on going up. Past terabytes are petabytes, then exabytes, and on and on. So as our world's data keeps growing like crazy, it makes you wonder, what new words will we need just to describe the sheer scale of our digital future?